This is ABC15 Mornings.
Right here on ABC15 Mornings, monsoon storms causing damage for a second day in a row throughout our state with lightning, rain, and now an excessive heat warning. Do we see any relief in the near future? We're tracking it all ahead of our weather action weekend.
Plus, emotions running high as Brittany Greiner's trial in Russia is put on hold. We break down what's next for this trial against the Phoenix Mercury star and new information about why she had cannabis oil in the first place. Also, 988, three numbers that could save a life. Today, a new hotline launches for people contemplating suicide.
There was a lot of times where I just felt like I needed to see this today, or I needed to know that.
Spreading good in our community, a Valley Girl Scouts mural with a message of kindness to give others a reason to smile.
And we want to show you this on a Saturday. Beautiful look at that sunrise, that sun finally coming up as we kickstart your weekend. Good morning, I'm Nick Saletti.
And I'm Amelia Fabiano. Yeah, that sun, though, is going to be what gets us this weekend in the
Ouch.
Phoenix metro area, because we do have excessive heat warnings in place for Phoenix and for the cities surrounding. So today's a weather action day. Tomorrow's a weather action day. Not really the weekend to be outside. We're going to have temps topping 114 today in the valley. Storms spotty in the valley area, more scattered around the rim up in the Flagstaff, Sedona area. But again, weather action days this weekend, excessive heat warning in place starting at 10 this morning, lasting until 8 tomorrow night. There's also an air quality alert in place for Phoenix today and tomorrow. So if you're a sensitive group, consider limiting your time outside this weekend, especially if it's not for the heat, it's for the air quality. 114 again, our high today. In Phoenix, still a few degrees shy from our record set back in 1925 of 118, but still hot enough to be very dangerous. Cooling off by 1 degree tomorrow. 113 is expected to be our high again, still a few degrees away from that record, but there is that heat warning in place this weekend, and you can see there highlighted in that hot pink color where exactly that excessive heat warning is in place for Phoenix and the surrounding cities. So we'll talk more about that in time out. Our temperatures and storm chances coming up in that full most accurate forecast.
And we are expecting that heat to go full throttle today. Popular hiking trails across Phoenix will be shut down during the day because of the extreme heat. So that includes Piestewa Peak and Camelback. The trails are closed from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. today and tomorrow. As Amelia mentioned, both days, of course, we have excessive heat warnings. In the high country, a monsoon storm leading to flash flooding and the pipeline and museum fire burn scars. Check this out. Mud, debris flowing through communities right by Flagstaff, putting homes and lives at risk. Coconino County requesting help from the state, asking for 60 National Guard members. The governor's office says they've gotten this request and they're going to do whatever they can to help out.
Developing overnight, a 3-year-old girl is in critical condition this morning. She had to be rushed to the hospital after she was pulled from a Phoenix pool. This happened late last night, right there on your screen near 38th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. Firefighters tell us she was just in that pool for a few seconds and she did start breathing on her own before getting into that ambulance.
Firefighters putting out a warehouse fire in Glendale overnight. This was a scene around 1 o'clock this morning near 54th Avenue in Missouri. Flames there shooting 20 feet into the sky. The fire was contained in just a few hours and did not spread. Thankfully, nobody was hurt.
Also developing this morning, an update on the armed robbery at a jewelry store in Anthem. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and the FBI are now offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. They're looking for those suspects who they say shot an employee before taking off on motorcycles. That victim is in the hospital this morning in stable condition. We're also bringing you new details more than a week after a deadly crash in El Mirage. The parents visiting Maggie Suggs, who was driving the car that 11-year-old Ariana Gannon and her 2 sisters were in when their vehicle was hit head-on by that pickup truck.
ABC 15's Benton Blandon hearing from Suggs and her family today, as well as their message to the stranger who stepped in to take action.
More than a week after a head-on crash in El Mirage killed an 11-year-old girl, the girl's 2 sisters continue to recover. Also recovering in rehab is the woman who was driving them.
So they're teaching her how to, move around because she has her arms still wrapped in a sling.
Maggie Suggs carrying a lot of emotional weight, including guilt. Her sister Anita says that all changed Friday when the parents of 11-year-old Ariana Gannon visited the hospital.
They are such amazing people that they felt to go and speak with her so she could release the heaviness she had because she was driving the car.
Anita believes her older sister fears losing her independence.
She's just upgoing, talkative, laughing, helpful, always let's do it, let's do it.
Maggie's family expects a long road to recovery, mentally, physically, and emotionally. But Anita says she feels hopeful thanks to the actions of a stranger.
I normally don't answer calls, numbers I don't know because of all of the scam people.
She answered, heard a woman talking and mumbling from her sister.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you calling me for my sister? She's like, no, your sister was in a really bad accident. Someone got ejected and she was just, I'm like, okay, where is she?
She found her sister at the crash site on El Mirage Road near Olive Avenue. As for the woman who called her,
I honestly don't know her name. I think it's Marlene. That day was so crazy, I don't remember.
All she recalls is the name started with an M.
We are forever grateful for you taking the time to be there with her.
She didn't leave my side. She held my head up while I was out of the car so I wouldn't be dangling out of the car. And she sat with me until the paramedics took over. And I really wish we could find out who she is so we could thank her.
In El Mirage, Vincent Blandon, ABC 15, Arizona.
A new tool is coming to help meet the growing need for mental health services. Starting today, Arizona is joining the rest of the nation, launching the 988 crisis hotline number. Those 3 numbers will connect you with a crisis counselor. Experts say Arizona is actually well positioned to handle this change and an increase in calls. Our state's crisis hotline system gets about 36,000 calls every month. That's more than some states get in an entire year. So those who run the system say this type of support is why they exist.
This is bringing up that level of access to the general public in saying this is like 911. You should be coming to us when you have these feelings, when you have family members that are experiencing these behavioral health issues.
The 10-digit number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and Arizona's crisis hotlines are not going away. If you call those numbers, you will also be connected to a crisis counselor.
Donald Trump is postponing his visit to Arizona today. The announcement came following the death of his first wife, Ivana. Trump was supposed to be in Prescott Valley for a rally today ahead of Arizona's primary election in August. Now the event has been moved to next Friday, July 22nd. Candidates Carrie Lake and Blake Masters are expected to be there. Brittany Greiner's trial in Russia, it's on hold until July 26. It's to give her defense team some more time to prepare her to take the stand. After 2 days of testimony is what it's coming after, defending the Phoenix Mercury star. She's been detained in Russia since February.
Brittany Greiner seen in Russian court for the 4th day.
Hi, Brittany. How are you today?
Wearing a Nirvana t-shirt and locked in a steel white cage during her drug possession trial, Friday morning, her legal team gave the court a doctor's letter recommending medical cannabis use. They also submitted anti-doping tests, which didn't detect any prohibited substances. It's after 3 Russian character witnesses, including a top basketball boss, testifying in her defense.
The fact that the Russian government allowed Brittany Greiner's Russian teammates and management to testify on her behalf is actually a positive sign. It means that they're letting her make her case for leniency.
The 2-time Olympian and WNBA star is facing up to 10 years in prison, detained since February after Russian police say they found vape cartridges in her luggage containing hashish oil, which is illegal in Russia. Greiner pleaded guilty to the charges last week, saying the vape cartridges accidentally ended up in her bag.
I would like to plead guilty on the charges against me, but I had no intention on breaking any Russian law.
Greiner was back in the courtroom this morning, and today Brittany's team asked to postpone these proceedings, saying they wanted to give Brittany more time to prepare. The trial will start back up on July 26th.
President Joe Biden says they're doing everything they can to get Greiner back to the U.S. Russian officials have hinted a conviction may be necessary before a prisoner swap. That still could take months.
6:09 and switching gears, Americans are finally getting a break at the gas pump. Prices across the nation have fallen for 4 straight weeks. According to AAA, the national average of gas per gallon sits at $4.54. Here in Arizona, those numbers are higher, though, at $4.84. Still a 20-cent drop, though, since last week. Well, the jackpot just keeps on growing this morning. Nobody matched the 6 winning numbers in last night's Mega Millions drawing. The jackpot now worth around $530 million, which means the cash option just over $300 million. The next drawing is Tuesday, so plenty of time to buy your tickets. The odds to win this one in 302 million.
All right, something that's really going to come in handy this weekend. How about a nice cold ice cream? National Ice Cream Day is actually tomorrow.
Okay, there are several places offering some discounts, even freebies. Baskin-Robbins offering $5 off any purchase over $15 from Sunday through next Saturday in store and online. Just use the code BeCooler. Dairy Queen offering $1 off a chocolate dipped cone on Sunday through their mobile app.
And Cold Stone Creamery is offering free delivery on online orders all weekend long starting today. There will also be a special offer on their app tomorrow. All right, coming up this morning, what's old is new again when it comes to battling climate change, how sails are being used to reduce our use of fossil fuels.
Plus, a multi-million-dollar jewelry heist playing out nearby, and now the FBI is stepping in. It's 6:13 on this Saturday. Let's get to our morning headlines. The Biden administration extending the COVID public health emergency for at least another 3 months through October 13th. The emergency declaration has been in place since January of 2020. The latest renewal comes as Omicron BA.5, the most contagious variant yet, continues to stake its claim here in the U.S. Hospitalizations, deaths, and daily case rates are the highest they've been in months.
Millions of dollars worth of jewelry stolen from an armored truck in Los Angeles. The victims are part of the International Gem and Jewelry Show that carries all high-end jewelry. So think 19-karat yellow gold, over 100 carats of multicolored sapphire. The total loss, as much as $150 million. The FBI confirms it's working with the LA County Sheriff's Department on the case.
NASA and its Russian counterparts Roscosmos have reached a new rideshare agreement for at least 2 SpaceX missions to the International Space Station. As part of the agreement, NASA astronauts will take 2 seats on 2 separate launches of Russia's spacecraft. The 2 Russian cosmonauts will take part in at least 2 future SpaceX missions to the International Space Station. So it's kind of like Uber going intergalactic. Today, our Impact Earth team is finding some old technologies are making a comeback in the fight against climate change. Next year, sails will be installed on a cargo vessel owned by the international shipping company Cargill. The hope is that the wind power will reduce the need for fossil fuels. Currently, the shipping industry accounts for 3% of global emissions.
For every 1 ton of heavy marine oil that you burn at sea as a fuel, you're creating 3 tons of CO2, which is a seriously big problem. The wing is going to be saving approximately 1 to 1.5 tons of fuel per day per wing.
A second company is scheduled for testing next year. Other companies have shown interest, and if successful, leaders say those sails could eventually be manufactured here in the U.S. A great way to reduce our carbon footprint, Amelia.
Yeah, it looks cool too. Looks like a futuristic pirate ship or something. So
ahoy, matey.
Yeah, right? Okay, time for that most accurate forecast now. We have a weather action day in place today and tomorrow, and it's because of our heat, specifically in the Phoenix metro area. You can see it here highlighted in this bright pink color. That's where there is an excessive heat warning in place there, and also in the Grand Canyon as well. But we could see temps as high as 114 in the Phoenix area today. So that means dangerous temperatures. This excessive heat warning for the Phoenix area is in place from this morning starting at 10 all the way until tomorrow night at 8. And again, highs possible up to 114 today, 113 a little bit more likely tomorrow. But it means stay inside, especially between 11 this morning and 6 tonight and tomorrow as well, if possible. Make sure you're keeping your pets inside. Make sure you're being careful with those pups and their paws if you have to take them on a quick walk. Don't leave your children or your pets in your cars for any amount of time because of how hot it's going to get in there. And make sure you're staying extra hydrated today. Something to also keep in mind today is the air quality. It's not going to be great. It's actually, we're under an ozone high pollution advisory for the Phoenix area, so it's going to be unhealthy for those sensitive groups. Taking a look at radar though, you can see we have some lingering rain this morning across the valley area in the Queen Creek, Apache Junction area. And zooming out to the state, you can see it's mostly clear this morning up in Flagstaff. Futurecast, though, this afternoon, starting at about 5 this evening, is when those storms are really going to ramp up in the Sedona area, Flagstaff, and between Payson and Globe as well. Those storm chances tomorrow, though, are going to be a little bit higher for the Phoenix area as well. Right now, still warm outside, 90 for Glendale, Ahwatukee, and Scottsdale, 89 over in Mesa. Those highs today, 102 in Sedona, a little bit cooler along the rim, 84 in Flagstaff, 92 in Payson, 89 in Heber, 112 in Casa Grande. Overnight, it's not going to cool off much in the valley. 91 for our low in Phoenix, 83 in Casa Grande, 74 in Sedona, 55 up in Flagstaff. And taking a look at that 7-day forecast again, hot tomorrow, 113. It's only going to cool off a little bit for the Phoenix area as we head into the work week, with still some storm chances, higher storm chances for Flagstaff, and temperatures sitting in the 80s.
An amazing image caught on camera this morning at Miramar Beach in Mexico. This is called a shelf cloud, so they're associated with severe thunderstorms. Typically, the high winds come first, followed by heavy rain, but the weather events are short-lived. Experts say if you see one, you should move away from the water because they normally bring lots of lightning, which we know is extremely dangerous. It's an experience you'd only be able to have here in Arizona. The Sabino Canyon Crawler is now offering night tours in southern Arizona. The all-electric safari vehicle takes you on a 7-mile automated tour of the Sabino Canyon near Tucson. The After Dark tour were created to help beat the heat. They run at 8 p.m. daily through the month of October. Coming up, it's not just storm damage or flooding you have to worry about during the monsoon. The ABC15 Health Insiders going in depth this morning on monsoon parasites, what you need to know to stay healthy.
As we see our monsoon storms continue, it's not uncommon to see kids in the desert playing in the floodwaters, but there are health risks associated with that. So here to talk to us about it is our ABC 15 Health Insider, Dr. Shadmar Vasti. Good morning.
Good morning, Noelani.
So we know we need anything that we can do to get some water, and kids see water and they want to swim. So we do see this when there's flooding, but there are dangers lurking in that water. One of them, parasites.
That's right. There's a number of dangers, actually. Floodwater, any kind of standing water after a storm, it can be dangerous because it not only makes you vulnerable to infectious diseases like those that are born from parasites, it can also have chemical hazards. Chemicals that get in that water, and also injuries can happen because there's all sorts of debris and other things that are kind of in that water. And then stray animals, snakes and things like that tend to be around water like that, especially here in the desert. So really something that we need to avoid as much as possible is flood water.
So let's talk about ingestion of any of that storm water. What could happen to your body?
The parasite thing is particularly worrisome, and it can happen pretty quickly. Parasites are basically organisms that live in another species, and they can cause a whole wide range of symptoms. Usually, a lot of the parasites that we see cause a lot of stomach issues, like you start having stomach pain, you may have diarrhea or constipation or bloating, and that can happen within usually like a week or two after being exposed to one. And basically it's an organism that's growing inside you, and it's kind of a frightening thought and making you sick. And so floodwater is definitely a source of this, just because everything kind of gets disrupted, and they're there in the desert, in the dry sand, right, in different areas, but then it's all mixed in together in the water. And so they're just kind of floating around, so that even if you just have your hand come in contact with it, and then you bring your hand to touch your eyes, your nose, or your mouth, those are all the ways that it can get into your body. So anytime that you get, are exposed to floodwater, any parts of you or any things fall into the floodwater, you really have to be really careful about if there's a way to clean them and sanitize them, or discard them. If it's just like packaging or something, throw it away and then wash your hands thoroughly so that you don't get, one of those parasitic infections.
Now, we also know sometimes there is damage that happens with these storms. And so if you're a homeowner, you have to wade into the water on your property at times, maybe. So things to be aware of: if you have an open sore, what is the danger of exposing that?
Oh, absolutely. So any kind of wound that you have basically can get really infected. So just imagine we know the expression pouring salt into a wound, but what about if you pour bacteria, and all sorts of dirt and sludge and grime into a wound? You're basically going to make it get infected. If it's not infected, it's going to get worse. So you can think about this flood water as really the dirtiest kind of water. Oftentimes it can also be, similar to kind of sewage water, really. I think that's probably the best way to think about it. You really want to use rubber boots, rubber gloves, goggles, be very careful if you can, if you have to do that. Use the protective gear, and then really wash yourself thoroughly afterwards and discard any items that can't be cleaned, with soap and water and sanitized.
As you mentioned before, it might take a couple days for you to realize there's a problem. So certainly the second you notice something is off, seek medical attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we're there for you to come in anytime you have a question. Don't hesitate to do that if you've been exposed. And, we may see more and more of that, obviously, and we usually do during the monsoon season.
Right. We've still got some time to go with that.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate the guidance this morning. And remember, you can always send your health topics and questions to healthinsider@abc15.com.